Okay, so now it should be working. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. Yep, here's White's Farm. 2 people are entering. Yep, William Pressler and White's Farm. So we're good. All right, man. I'll talk to you. Bye. Okay, bye.
Hey, what's up,
Hello.
Dennis?
Hey, Will, how are you?
I'm doing good. Hope you are.
Yeah, I think. I don't know what the hell I'm doing here. Hold on a second.
It's all good.
All right, let's see. So I want to do gallery view. There we go. There's Holly in her office, her mobile office. And so it's good. Good. Hey, Colleen, how are you? All right. I guess Colleen, there she is.
Hi, how are
Hey,
you?
Colleen.
Sorry, guys.
It's okay. How you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm wunderbar. Wunderbar. All right. Well, Sterling will be on here shortly. He's calling me. Let's see what's up. Hey, Sterling. Hey, Sterling. Hello. Hey. Okay, try it again. You should be good now. I just got it turned on like a minute ago. And people are getting on, so I know it's working. Okay, let me send you another invitation right now. Look for your email. Okay, bye. Right. Invite link. And we'll do Sterling. All right, so hopefully that'll work. For some reason, the link that Sterling got wasn't working, so hopefully it'll work. There's Brady. Okay. Okay. Sterling got a notice that his link wasn't working, so I just sent him another one. So hopefully.
Yeah, I think he probably had the old link. I just sent it out to everybody with the accurate link to that whole list of like 170 people.
Okay. I also sent it to him directly, so hopefully it'll work.
Okay,
Let me just call. I'm going to call him real quick. I'll be right back. Yeah, that's Sterling's getting on now.
Okay, I'll be here. I'm prepping some steaks for lunch there, so my camera's going to be off.
Okay. Somebody playing cards? It sounds like someone's shuffling a deck of cards or something. Okay, Sterling is says he's connecting. There he is. Can't hear your audio. It's muted.
All right, can you hear me now?
Yeah, we got you.
All right, good.
Okay, sorry about the link. I'm not quite sure what happened. But
Yeah, no
anyway,
worries.
yeah. So folks will be dragging in, and we also have a pretty good contingent that watches after hours as well, because they might have work to do or something during the day. So I want
Sure.
to introduce everybody to Sterling Whitley. Sterling is a ECU alum, and he'll be talking to us about innovation in a larger organization and some of the things that he does as the chief strategy officer for one of the largest Pepsi-Cola bottling organizations in the region, if not the country. And he and I know each other. We worked together on a project some time ago that was fun, but didn't work out as well as all of us wanted to. But we all learned a lot, and that's how I got to meet Sterling. So with no further ado, let me turn it over to him. I got to do a little something technical here real quick, Sterling. Hold on one second.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, now. Okay, so Sterling, you should see the controls now for presentation. Did that show up on your screen? Where you can share your screen, it should be an icon, hopefully.
Yep.
Okay, great. All right, so I'll turn it over to Sterling, and here he goes.
Can you guys see my screen now?
Yeah, sure can.
All right, should start out with like a path to here or something like that. Let me put it in bigger mode here. That may work better.
That's good.
Okay. Well, I may look a little bit to the right. I got 3 screens in my office here, so I'm gonna talk and I got to look at one for the camera, and I got to look at the other 2 so I can see it because I'm old and getting older.
You're not as old as
thanks
me.
for thanks for having me. It's an honor to always be able to go through if anybody's interested in what I do. It's a nice thing. What I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of take you through who I am, who our company is, how we look at our business, and then kind of a little bounce through COVID, and then I'll take you through, kind of what I'm looking at now. So I grew up in Raleigh, North Carolina. I'm a North Carolinian. I went to East Carolina in 1988 when I graduated. Most of the buildings that I went into aren't there anymore. Came on campus. I have a son that goes there now. Came on campus the other day and walked it, and it was sad to see how many places are not there anymore. But I guess it's also great because y'all now have air conditioning in most of your buildings, which it wasn't there when I was there, which made
What
it
is your
super
son?
suck.
What is your son majoring in, Sterling?
Great question. What do we call it? Management Information Systems.
Got it.
MIS.
Yep.
So out of college, I went to work for a company in Charlotte called Blue Ridge Wholesale. They are E&J Gallo House. And the great thing about Gallo is that their motto was dress like a banker and work like a farmer. And they really do. They beat the hell out of you. But I was there for 10 years, went through various roles, ended up getting recruited out of the distributor into E&J corporately. Hold on a second. Into E&J corporately as a regional national account manager, and then made it up to a national account manager. And at that point, I was recruited by PepsiCo to come work for them as a national account manager, basically calling on accounts, selling Pepsi products to large regional customers. Then it evolved into national customers. After that job, I got promoted to director of non-carbs for the Southeast region. This was in the early 2000s, and there were a brand called Red Bull was just really starting to wear out the United States, and we had a series of energy drinks and other things that we were diversifying the portfolio. My job was to try to get these brands seeded throughout the Southeast region. So worked on that. Then I came back to the Carolinas as a director of franchise and franchise development. And basically what happens in the Pepsi system is that Pepsi is a large franchise organization. They used to be bigger. Now only 20% of their total volume comes through the franchise system. And you have to have people like myself to manage those bottlers that sell the products from the Pepsi-Cola company. I was doing that up till 2008 when Carolina I work for now passed away, and the company recruited me to come work for them as their VP of marketing and sales. It worked out to be a great role. It prohibited me from having to move anymore. I still had family in the Carolinas, had 3 kids, 3 boys growing up here. So it took them, allowed them to finish high school without having to move. So I jumped on the job. The job then promoted me to senior vice president, to executive vice president, now the chief strategic officer for Carolina Canners. And feel free to interrupt me at any point. You guys got a question, you want me to clarify a point. This is very, Dennis told me it's very casual, so I'm going to try to keep it casual, but not lose you. So Carolina Canners, 21-acre building down in Sherrill, South Carolina, built in 1968. We basically bottle and fill Pepsi-Cola products. We added a syrup line in 1972. We are basically owned by 5 independent families, and these are original families that got the Pepsi-Cola franchise when it was founded. The one that you're probably most familiar with is the Menges family, who has the New Bern, Kinston, and Greenville market where East Carolina is located right now. And I'll touch on this at the very end, but we just signed East Carolina for a 10-year agreement. So starting in January, Pepsi-Cola products will be served back on East Carolina campus. So you have Pepsi, Gatorade, Mountain Dew, all the brands that we sell. We were able to come in and get that property back from Coke, which is nice considering so many of the buildings on campus are actually named after the Menges family and a lot of Pepsi money in that campus. This is our network. So basically the peak place in the middle is the Sherrill, South Carolina, and all these are our distribution locations and families that own the plant. The plant also owns itself. Carolina Canners itself owns Greenville, South Carolina, and Florence, South Carolina. We produce about 32 million cases of product. Revenue for those 32 million cases, a little bit over $2 billion a year between all those locations. So it's a pretty sizable operation. We have share dominance in every marketplace. We are over 50 share in every marketplace, and Pepsi outsells Coke, bottle and can in those marketplaces. Aerial shot of the plant, really can't tell much, but it's where the pins are. It's just a very large facility, and some of the area behind it we'll be building out with some of the projects that I'll be mentioning to you here coming up shortly. So like I said, 21 acres, the place pretty much sat still, kind of like that. Not sat still, it worked, and we produced product and such until about 2010. I came on in 2008. We hired another professional manager. A CEO came on 2009. 2010, we started working on what we call future-proofing our business. And to future-proof our business, the way we looked at it was we went into defining our core competencies. And I'll mention this a couple of times throughout the presentation, but basically, who are we? What are we good at? What resources do we have? What does the market need? And is there room for profit, either via organically, like doing our job day to day, through innovation? You know, where's the ball bouncing? What can we do differently for innovation standpoint, or for savings, just getting our operational efficiencies tighter and in a better refined spot. Whenever we go through and I've gone through this in a couple other companies, whenever we go through this, the first one that you probably want to look at first is savings. And I do this in my personal life as well as my professional life. You want to look at the closest things to home, the things that you can control first, and those were the savings. So it's kind of a timeline for some of the highlights, some of the top points. I'll touch on them. We started out with trying to consolidate our scale. So we had 7 locations, all dealing with the parent company, all at different times and different places. Some people agreed with this, some people agreed with that. We decided that, you know what, if we could just speak with one voice and leverage our scale, and let's all agree upon what the real math looks like, what our value to our business is, what it costs to deliver our products, what margins do we need on average, and then let's negotiate from a position of strength and leverage the whole 32 million cases, which is what we did. At the time, I think we were only like 24 million cases, but still it's a significant amount. We also recognized some gaps in the market. There was a gap for a fruit flavored drink. We launched a brand called True-Aid that we pulled out of retirement. And for the next 5 years, sold in the open market down through the Carolinas. Did pretty good with it. Made a high margin on it because it was an in-house produced item. It was the first product developed by Carolina Canners. Since then, we've moved that trademark. We still own the trademark, but we use it as a subline for a private label. And I'll talk to you about that in a few minutes as well. 2010, we also woke up around our IT investment, and we decided that if we're going to have a company that's going to be able to evolve into the future, we're really going to need a more robust IT platform. So we invested heavily in that. We consolidated our media and out-of-home purchasing. So Carolina Canners, we had each location would buy their own radio and buy their own billboards, work with the company on television, spot TV, cable placements. I decided that it'd be best if we could just consolidate that down. We incurred some savings at each locations, and I had 3 people reporting to me that they basically just focus on that now full time for the rest of the organization. It's worked out really well. Again, scale and leveraging your scale. 2012, we blew up the organization. We had some old ways of thinking that we needed to evolve out. So we did that, and we reinforced our IT department and brought on some stronger analytical people. 2013, we looked internal again to seeing how we could do things better. Where do we have savings? We were buying all of our plastic bottles on the open market. And we decided to, at that point, we're going to start to blow our own bottles. So we started purchasing these things. That will actually turn into a 20-ounce Pepsi or Mountain Dew bottle is what it looks like before it starts. So we started making these. It doesn't seem like a lot, but it's that little thing right there saved us $2 million a year by doing that. And then putting the label on the actual bottle itself. So we started self-labeling. That saved us another $1 million. And then we also started injection molding, which saved us $2.5 million more. So basically in 1 year, we made some strategic moves, which cost us about $20 million in equipment, but we my ROI was somewhere between $5 to $7 million a year in savings. So it doesn't take long to do the math. Oh, sorry, you muted. It doesn't take long to do the math that, you can get an ROI paid off in about 5 years. So we started working on that. 2014, we evolved a little bit more and moved all of our vending machines to cashless vending, heavily used on the East Carolina campus. We've got 380 machines that we're going to have to replace on that campus starting in January. I think all of them are going to have cashless vending on it where you can use your ECU card or a credit card. Especially with, COVID with being what it is now, it makes it even more, the consumers even more looking for more low touch type interactions. 2015, we started working with PepsiCo on defining what our future needs. So we've looked internal, we've done some savings, we've done some innovation, and now we're looking very outside the box and saying, okay, what does PepsiCo, where do they see the ball bouncing? How can we now, as a truly consolidated, professionally managed organization, get in front of that? So we started exploring hot fill. Hot fill is where you don't use a preservative. You put the product through a series of heating elements, and then you cool it down rapidly, and it kills all the bacteria, so you get a clean pack bottle. So some of the items that you would know would be Gatorade is hot fill, Pure Leaf tea, the square bottles are hot fill as well. So we signed a contract with them to start. We started doing the work in 2015 to explore hot fill. We also started working on our external brand development and recruitment. So we started looking at brands coming outside the Pepsi-Cola system. So we started looking at items like Evian came on our trucks, and several other waters and brands. 2016, I wanted a better understanding of our overall P&L, and I hired a young man from Diageo to come work for us in revenue management. And basically, his analytics allowed us to really cut our business down and put a true cost to everything that we do. And that kind of feeds back to the bottom three words at the bottom of the page, which is know your worth. We needed to know exactly what our worth was in the marketplace and how much does it cost to ride on the blue truck, and make sure that that's the minimum that we're asking for. And depending on who you were and what you were asking us to do and how big a brand it is, Diet Pepsi is a huge brand. So I'm willing to make a little bit less on this because the volume and scale is so strong than I am some no-name brand that may be sitting behind me that I'm going to charge you 40 to 50% margin for me to deliver. 2016, we also determined that we need to develop other companies under our umbrella. We had enough capital and enough scale now that we decided that these other businesses, these other brands that we're bringing on, how can we insulate our Pepsi-Cola business and use our capital to build on our other businesses? So we consolidated our bulk delivery, meaning everything that we ship to grocery stores. We consolidated that down to one location and shipped from that location direct to, say, a Minji's Walmart or a Food Line all the way up in Asheville, North Carolina. We put it on a truck and it leaves from one location. That allowed us to remove some of the cost from the decentralized locations, put that back into those locations so they could ramp up more profitable aspects of their business, like calling on convenience stores or calling on restaurants. And we took the weight of putting it all on our trucks and running it from one location. So the company that supports that is called CPI. So we developed that company, Carolina Packaging. And then 2017, we finished up our agreement with the Pepsi-Cola company and put in a hot fill line, another $20-some million spent there to produce Gatorade and to produce Pure Leaf tea. You can see it right here in the bottom, in the left corner of the page. And then 2019, we did the same thing again with a Southeast Coalfield, which is basically the same company as Carolina Canners. It's the same line. We just developed another company and we rent the equipment to that other company, the other LLC. It gives us some protection from an insurance standpoint and liability standpoint with Pepsi-Cola, because you never want to risk your cash cow. So that allowed us to defer some of that risk to another company. And that company now co-packs for 3 other companies, outside companies. And we also run some of our new brands through that same company. And then last year, we also centralized our recycling. We, believe it or not, we create some products that need to be recycled, all our PET and our aluminum. So when we pick up cans and PET from our locations that have been sold or and returned or crushed or damaged, we send them back to one location and go through the EPA rules to make sure that they are the contents are cleared and that they are able to go back into the wastewater. You just don't dump things right into the wastewater. They have to go through stages to treat them. and then the aluminum is compressed and resold to the aluminum recycling people. The plastic is delabeled and stripped down, and it's taken back to a granulated pellet form. And then we put 10% of that back into our PET stream. And right now, in this country, that's all we can do right now with that is it's about 10%. So these are actually, so in the last 10 years, this is what we've created, are all these businesses right here. Blackbeard is the one I didn't speak about. That's where I put all my emerging brands. Some of the stuff that Dennis and I worked on in the past, this would be something that we would do. That's something beep, Dennis. That's not me, is it?
That's at my end. Don't worry.
All right, cool. So this is kind of who we are now as an organization, plus the other 5 locations that are our owners. These are little quick slide, kind of shows you what we do, all the packaging that we can do just with a can, all the different configurations and things we look at from innovation standpoint. This is a look inside the plant, what the overall can line kind of looks like. This is a side shot of our hot fill lines. This is the Pure Leaf coming off the line. This is CPI. This is where we make the preforms. That's this big thing here is a Husky preform machine, and it actually creates these hard plastic things here, which are the preforms that get sent down a conveyor to the other side of the plant, and they're blown into a bottle. And then from an IT standpoint, we measure everything. We measure how long it's running, how long it's stopping, what our efficiencies are, and then all this gets transferred into a price, and that price is applied to each product, and each product carries its own weight or it doesn't get ran. So 2020, March 29th, March 2020, I think it was in March 18 or 19, we really hit a massive lockdown across all retail. Consumer dynamics shifted overnight. Our entire business model was turned upside down on its end. Restaurant, vending, office, and commercial food business all basically shut down. I don't know how much you know about the soft drink business, but these are very high margin areas for us. And so what happens is that your P&L just kind of flips. This high end area goes away overnight, and this area here got blown through the roof. Our grocery store business shifted dramatically as consumers started hoarding paper and sterility items, toilet paper, hand sanitizer, anything Clorox disappeared overnight. We had dramatic stock up across the whole board. The ripple effect from the supply chain standpoint is nothing that I've seen since I've been employed anywhere, ever. So massive raw material shortages, cans, labels, trucks, drivers. We had warehouses that we were waiting on labels from. We had sugar places we were waiting on sugar from. The whole entire factory shut down because of COVID. And all of my sales teams and all of my meetings and everything that we do, like they were doing right now, went virtual overnight. So it was a bit of a mess. You can see some of the behaviors trips that I was talking about right here. E-commerce went through the roof, plus 60%. Online grocery shopping, plus 40%. And all this is, you got to understand that when, as a forecaster and as a major corporation, we're looking at this, our plan was basically flat to a +2. So when you see 40 to 60% increase in this side of the business, and you see this side of the business disappear, and that shift happened, there's no way these big companies and these big factories can shift and pivot as quick as we needed to. Food and beverage was plus 20% overnight. So COVID, what did we learn and what did we do? So first thing we had to do, we had to learn and communicate our safety protocols. When nobody was prepared for this, nobody knew how to deal with it. We were looking at the government for insight. We were looking at our industry for insight, and we were getting it on an hourly basis. We were having twice daily briefing calls, 4 to 5 days a week, with different aspects of our organization, from our supply chain people to our warehouses to our distribution locations. We had to coordinate PPE, which is our personal protection equipment, face mask and gloves and sanitation stuff. Was a nightmare trying to get any of it. We paid bonuses to all of our frontline employees, everybody that was touching anything that was considered, heavily COVID related. We were immediately trying to make sure that they knew that we appreciated their value. And then that bonus got reinstated several times throughout the year. We had funds set aside to help impact those that we thought were going to be impacted by COVID. We did access those funds 3 or 4 times throughout the year for different families. And then we had to put in protocols and testings. The craziest things, like trying to find these little hand thermometers, that was impossible. It was just amazing how quick everything disappeared overnight. We had calls with our corporate partners to help understand how supplies and raw materials can be shifted. We had daily calls with customers like Food Line and Walmart to give them updates on how we were going to, what time frames that we had that we could come into their buildings and what protocols that they had. And we had to coordinate those with our people. Something as simple as just make sure all of our people had masks on. You would be surprised how hard it was to communicate that so quickly at every level. We had to recruit families and friends and employees to make face masks for our employees. You couldn't get face masks anywhere. So we were taking Pepsi shirts and Mountain Dew shirts and Gatorade shirts and sending them to wives and family members that were cutting and sewing and making masks and then shipping them back out on our trucks. I was talking to Sensit, who makes some of our flavors for some of our innovation brands. They had access to the chemicals they needed to make alcohol sanitizer. So we were buying hand sanitizer in 50-gallon barrels and taking them and putting them in 12-ounce Pepsi bottles and putting spray caps on them. And this is my plant people doing this. This is all pivoting and shifting job responsibilities and moving people that were basically calling on restaurants for 20 years that didn't have any restaurants to call on to, putting them in different locations overnight. So they were still being employed, and we didn't fire anybody or let anybody go throughout, or still haven't throughout the entire COVID process.
Hey, Sterling, how many employees are there for your various companies?
A little over 300 for Carolina Canners, and then each location, depending on size, I think if you took our whole organization and rolled it up, I think we're like 1,100.
Wow.
In all locations.
And you had to pivot that whole group all of a sudden. Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And individually, right? I mean, you can't pivot somebody from that was calling on restaurants to having them jump on one of these $20 million can lines. I mean, you have to move people into different spots that meet their skill sets. Yeah. You can see by this slide how we were basically managing our business. If you look at, say, to the far left, 2017, the dotted black line is basically the CSD category. So it's carbonated soft drink category. And you can see how it kind of flew around about 0%, up and down 1. People are like, oh, I want 0 sugar, or I want all natural, or I want full sugar, or I want flavors this year. So the consumer dynamics constantly shift and flow, and that's how you get that kind of flowy line. But if you look at Q1 20, when it bounced up, that gap there between the 30% and the flat line is not something that you can shift to overnight. So when you go into some of the marketplaces, and I will tell you, Carolina Canners is better than most. We're right across from Crown Cork and Seal, who makes the cans, and we've had a over a 50-year relationship with them. So they've done a really good job keeping us in stock. So folks in Greenville and New Bern, if you're drinking Pepsi-Cola products, you're probably not suffering as much as if you're in Charlotte or Raleigh and you're drinking Coke products. I think Coke products now, cans, the last market I was in this past week in Charlotte, they had Coke, Diet Coke, Sprite, and Coke Zero, and that was it. That's the only cans they had. And we, you know, they carry probably 40 SKUs. We probably carried 50 SKUs in just cans. So it's a big compression, and I'll take you through why you saw that. Not only because the cans went away, but because the first thing you do, you cut the long tail. You want to keep your people and your trucks moving as best as they can. You want to take out as much complexity as you can. Basically, the second line here says simplify as much as you can in as many ways you can. And that's really what that's kind of our mantra of going through COVID, is that we got up in the morning and we said, okay, how can we take all the stupid and how the dumb out of everything we do? Let's really drill it down to what we make money on and what helps simplify our role with our people. And let's get on board with that. So we focused on removing barriers. We worked with the state the state allowed trucks to be heavier. If you're in a necessity business, you could run heavier trucks for a while, which helped because we were losing truck drivers left and right. We stopped all projects outside of the core business. So anything that wasn't the day-to-day business, everything innovation, everything that was outside the box that we were working on, we crushed all that down to just focusing on our core products. We removed pricing from the marketplace. There was no problem getting people to buy your product. The problem was they were actually buying it too fast, and we couldn't keep up with it. And it was so we tried to take off all of our sales. We also needed to do that from a shift in economics. So if you think about earlier where I said we lost our fountain business and we lost our vending business, and those were profitable aspects. So we needed to make more on grocery in order just to keep water level with our P&L. We lost the shrink wrap that goes around packaging. The company called Bemis Amcor makes all of our shrink wrap. They also make our labels. They had COVID outbreaks and they had demand issues. And they're suffering from the same stuff that we did. So we had to go with a clear wrap. So you actually may still see some products in the marketplace where you can actually see the 6 bottles and you don't see the big branding on the front. It's a legal package because each individual package inside of it has all the nutritional panel and the UPC on it. But it allowed us to at least continue to put products out in the marketplace. We shifted more brands from cans, which we're having a harder time get, to PET, which we were actually able to make. And this is, thank God that we had made some decisions 5 years earlier to do this, because if not, we would be in even a tougher situation. But because we had kind of already started to future-proof ourselves, we were able to pivot and to take advantage of that. Stop producing BIB, which is called bag in a box. So when you go to a Burger King or McDonald's and you get a soft drink, there's a bag behind the scenes that has a bag of syrup in it, and it runs it through a carbonator, and that's what produces your fountain drink. So we stopped producing those because nobody was buying them and they were just going out of date. So we tried again, cut some of our own long tail. The restaurants that were back open or could open up, we started giving them banners and putting coolers in there. Cold bottle is a single serve 20-ounce bottle. We started providing them with those versus fountain equipment because everybody went takeout. We had to ramp up IT overnight as well. Believe it or not, I had probably half my sales force didn't have cameras on their laptops. So we had to rush to get either external cameras put into people's houses or to provide them with laptops that had new cameras. We had to establish wiring charts to make sure that we had all the right people talking to all the right people every day, whether it be customers, supply chain, And this just went on and on and on. I mean, it still goes on and on. So it's been quite a heavy lift. But the other things that we came back with was that it helped us as we started to pivot, it helped us to go back to look at our core competencies. Let me see, let me skip that. I don't think that's where it needs to be. Well, sorry, I'll go through it anyway. Hopefully it will be. So we went back and looked at our core competencies again at this point, and we said, okay, who are we? And we produce and sell beverages. And what are we good at? We're good at efficient production. We're beverage experts. We're local to the Carolinas, which, believe it or not, matters to a lot of people now from a purchasing consumer standpoint, but also from a retailer standpoint, is that they like somebody when they've got a problem, they can call and you're nearby. We looked at what resources we had. Now we're looking at a state-of-art production facility. We actually had working capital, so we could invest where we needed. We had ramped up and put our best-in-class data and insights out there. And then my average employee in senior management has over 30 years in the job of the industry trade. So we felt like we were fairly well we were fairly well good shape to be experts in the business. And then what does the market need? We were able to look at the consumer trends, not only from our insights, but being able to work with the Pepsi-Cola company or Keurig Dr. Pepper. We get some of the best data in the world. So you can see some of the trends coming at you. And then we went back to looking at, where was there room for profit? So as COVID hit, some of the impacts that we saw that were happening, that we'll touch on base on in a minute, is this, stress relief. Some of the things that consumers moving forward is at 67%, and probably more than that today, being election day, suffering from a higher stress and anxiety. There are 47% of us need more energy. Half of us every day look for something to give us more energy, whether to do work or just to get fit side of the coin. This one is a little bit on the scary side, to prevent and protect. We're looking to try to be healthier on our weight, but we're also looking for trust and having clean packaging, big brands that you feel that you have more confidence in. So, we're focusing on that. And then basically health in a can is what we call it, or health in a bottle. Historically, people have always tried to look for a shortcut to better for you. And food and beverages are one of the things that we found out that are one of the first places people look. Like, well, I could drink less or I could drink better. I think you see some of that now in the seltzer business with the, White Claw. You're dealing with 100 calories. You got 5% alcohol. You get you where you want from that buzz standpoint, but it reduces the caloric intake at the same time. You see that trend. Value for your money. You've got, 30% of the working people that were out there working just stopped working overnight. So value of money is going to be a big deal moving forward throughout the balance of this year and next year. In-home experiences. People are, housebound or apartment bound or dorm bound, and they need something to do while they're there. They're obviously eating and drinking is one of the things, but also how they get these products and how much that's driven the e-commerce business. And then what we call calls marketing, which is giving back. The generations, my boys especially, are just better people than we were. And they care more about the environment. They care more about big companies being authentic and being true to their core and doing things and that are the right things. And I think you're going to see that resonate more and more with brands moving forward. So one of the things that we looked at coming out of this was that, so post-COVID, coming out of all this, how do we decide to do next? We developed a consolidated purchasing group is the next project that we're working on from the standpoint of, how to innovate internally. And that's basically my bottling organization getting with other bottling organizations and purchasing large quantities of the materials that we need at scale, whether it be sugar, whether it be citric acid, or whether it be flavorings, or whether it be cans. Another pivot that we've done is alcohol canning. Is that I'm currently working on a project with my organization to start putting seltzers and craft cocktails in aluminum cans. We have all the equipment except for an alcohol dosing unit that basically shoots the alcohol into the can, and a large tower to hold the alcohol. But it's the legal side of it that takes so much work. So we're probably another 6 months to a year away just from the legal side. CBD is still not approved for food and beverage by the FDA. So if you're buying a gummy bear or a CBD product in the marketplace now, it's technically illegal. It's not supposed to be there, and there's no federal drug a guidance around what you're getting. So you could be getting something with trace THC, or you could be getting something that's ground up in somebody's backyard, or it could be a great product. It's the wheel of destiny you're going to play with there. I know in eastern part of North Carolina, there's a tremendous amount of CBD growing down there, hemp being grown down there. So we're working with reputable companies that have the entire custody from the acre of land that the CBD is grown on all the way up to when they hand it to me. There's a chain of custody that can tell me where it's been. And we also test it for outside agents, pesticides, and THC levels. But we're currently working on products to help with immunity, help with sleep, help with energy. And all this feeds back into that circle that we showed earlier of where the consumer is bouncing as far as what they need next. This will also be our first, Carolina Canner's first direct-to-consumer product. So when this product is done, we will be doing it via e-commerce, and it will be shipped to THC-approved states. Those are the states like Colorado or Oregon where they can sell THC by the state laws, and the FDA guidelines are not being enforced for food and beverage products with CBD in them. So that's how we're looking at that. We're going to continue to co-pack for outside companies. Our business is, you're seeing some compression in the marketplace. Small companies will fall out and disappear if they haven't already, and they will over the next 6 months. Some of those brands that they were producing are going to be coming available for purchase, or they're going to be looking for other bigger companies to help them. So you're going to see some consolidation. We're already seeing that. We're being requested by some of these companies to produce products for them. So we will have some benefit from that. We're going to do some customer exclusive packaging. The TruAid sub-label that I talked about earlier will be living underneath the label of other brands that are going to be sold direct by customers. So if you have a food line that's selling a seasonal item, it may have TruAid, made by TruAid on the back, and it'll be some sort of seasonal item on the front, whether it be a Halloween beverage or a Christmas beverage or a centennial or, a patriotic beverage. Using our expertise, one of the things that we're very adamant about is to try to do an all-natural cold fill soda. So products like Diet Pepsi and Mountain Dew are cold fill, and they're put into, when they're produced, we mix them with the carbonated water. They get put in a can, and they have a trace preservative in there. What I'm trying to do is to get rid of that trace preservative, but if you take it out and you don't replace it with some other solution, bacteria can grow in the can, and that's bad. We don't like that. So we're going to be working on some other ways. There's other preservatives that can go in there that will disappear, and it actually lets you have a clean label and label it as an all-natural soft drink. And then, like I said, ECU we're converting in January, and with that conversion, That's going to be marketing projects for the next 10 years down in the eastern part of the state. We're going to find a way to take the Pirate and go further with it and make that and try to see if we can make that university have even a bigger impression from all the way up to Manio, all the way down to Myrtle Beach, so to speak. And that's it, Dennis. That's all I had. I'm happy to do any Q&A you have right now.
Okay. Fantastic. I can't believe how much work you've done since we last were together. So it's amazing.
Yeah, it's been a little bit.
And the COVID pivot, everybody is aware of it. Certainly aware that restaurants, have changed dramatically. We've seen farmers, for example, that were selling to restaurants now having to go direct to consumer, and that's a real challenge for a lot of the farms that we've talked to. So that was really helpful to see that. One thing I'm curious about, and the class may have some questions too, but one of the questions is maybe there's a way that some of our companies in our group could work with you on the marketing side when you're ready to promote the new ECU relationship, because our brands, a lot of them are kind of grounded in ECU and have a customer base that, and these are all e-commerce brands I'm speaking of primarily, but maybe there's a way we could figure out a way to work together on a marketing side with some of our companies and what you're trying to do.
No, I think that's a great idea. It's one of the things that I was talking to the Menges family about when we were going through the contract negotiations with East Carolina. I would tell you that the one that comes to mind off the bat is the CBD product. We're going to be probably looking for somebody from an e-commerce side to help us set up the infrastructure to support that.
Yeah, well,
that'd be one of the early ones.
Love to
Sterling,
help you with that.
I have a buddy who's a part of a major investment in the Wilson area. Are you familiar with the CBD plant that's operating there? There's somebody that contacted me there, I guess about 1.5 years, 2 years ago through the Menges family. They had a contract with Israel because Israel was doing a ton of the testing. They were sending 1,600 kilos per month to Israel for testing. They are they're at the level of production, and it's pretty much all levels of it. But they might be a really good contact. I'd be happy to share with you the person that I know. He actually offered me a sales job in there, and I'm too busy to take it.
Well, that's good. Good to be busy.
Yeah.
Yeah. The CBD is a whole interesting ball of wax. I've been dealing with it for about going on 4 years now. It's a lot more complicated than what I thought it was originally when I got into it. And the FDA allowing it to come from hemp has really accelerated it, and then COVID really decelerated it. The FDA is just not thinking about it at all. And until they allow me to put it in the food, give me some guidelines, at least tell me how many milligrams, and give me the chemical makeup to where I can make sure that, what are the thresholds for every element that can't be in it. From an insurance standpoint, if I put it on my trucks, the FDA can freeze my entire inventory for my entire network, which would theoretically just bankrupt us. So that's why you don't see it at Walmart, or you don't see it at a Speedway or these big companies or CVS. They're not playing it in a consumable standpoint. You see it in lotions, but you don't see it in consumables.
I think this is a really good example of of how the bigger picture impacts business, whether it's political or just kind of societal issues like CPD is kind of a thing that is really being decided, if you will, by society. FDA is dragging their feet, arguably, and the Department of Agriculture and some others. But I think it's pretty clear that there are several initiatives on ballots around the country this year that are going to try to clarify that. There's also some activity with legalizing mushrooms, the magic mushrooms, believe it or not, in Oregon and in the District of Columbia. So I think you're going to see a lot of changes and as time goes on, as society decides to explore some of these things that they haven't done before. I think that's what you're seeing.
Well, the CBD drinks, in my opinion, could be heavily marketed to the mothers and also older women because they might have used to party, so it's kind of still has the maverick touch to it, and you feel like you're kind of still being a little bit of an outlaw, but without the psychoactive effects. And that's one thing I've noticed a lot is a lot whenever I go to a buddy's house, their mother or a family party, it's always around and it's the mother's stash. So it's more like a something that would be marketed towards them than necessarily like, myself, because I mean, some athletes do use it to like heal, but it's one of those things that I've noticed that the women that use it used to party and it still gives them the maverick feeling.
Yeah. There's also
that's an interesting marketing angle on that.
Yeah,
I like
I don't
that.
know.
No, I haven't looked at it from that point of view. I know that the cannabinoids, there's a broad spectrum of cannabinoids in CBD. There's besides the CBD, CBD, CBE, CBA, that give you this triage of this effect where they all come together. And there's different cannabinoids that can provide different reliefs. So one of them is, certain higher levels of CBE may give you more inflammation, and then another variation of it mixed with caffeine may be able to give you more energy. So there are definitely a lot of work that's been done in CBD, and it is an exciting place to play.
Yeah.
But all it is a transition into the THC to become legal.
Well,
the CBD is not psychoactive. So there's no psychoactiveness in CBD. So you get CBD all day long and never get high.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're an old stoner, you may like the terpenes and the way it tastes. It may remind you what pot tastes like when you were in college.
But that's the whole maverick thing I'm talking about. It allows the mom figure to really live her old days without going wild, so to say.
Now wait a second. I was there, and it was more guys than girls. I'll tell you right now.
Hey, I was in college once.
You're just a youngin'. You're a youngin'.
And actually, I do a lot of work for Miles Minges. I do a lot of photography stuff for him. He's a really good buddy of mine, and it's one of the topics because I was out in Las Vegas in February, and we did stop into a dispensary, and they had THC beer that they were selling at $8 a can. I mean, the margins on that sound insane.
Yeah,
So
the
that's what
CBD
happened.
products I'm working on right now are $3 to $4 for a little tiny can.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So there's some margin in it, but the extraction process to get a very clean CBD that's not bitter, which is the big fight that we're having right now with the product, is getting rid of the bitterness. It's very, very, very bitter. And to be able to mask it and to get that bitterness out without losing the cannabinoids is the task where I'm hitting my head against the wall right now. So if you've got another company, I'm actually working with two separate companies right now. They're both running for the same spot. Neither of them are able to get there.
I got you. Well, one thing I've noticed going into the gas stations is that the hydration market has exploded. Like Body Armor, you got Monster Energy Hydro, and it's kind of hitting that hangover market where everybody thinks they can drink something and feel better.
Yep, it is. You're absolutely right. That's a trend. Next year we're going to have we're going to expand on our Bolt line, which is Gatorade's version of kind of the healthier Body Armor type product. You're going to see Bolt get expanded, and you're also going to see a product called Gator Light, which is an electrolyte, plays in that Pedialyte category or electrolyte category, where it's in the square bottle, ramped up, potassium, a little bit more of a salty water taste, no carbonation. So you're spot on. That's where the ball's bouncing.
Well, if, I do go into Mexican market sometime to get like chorizo at spicy, and they pretty much have Pedialyte on stock in the freezers for the Hispanic workers to buy. So, I mean, that's one thing. I don't know. I really enjoyed your presentation, Sterling. So it was fun to, kind of bounce off some stuff.
Appreciate that, William. Thank you for saying that. Yeah, anytime. I'm happy to entertain any other questions too.
Anybody else anybody else have a question? We're just about out of time. So Sterling, we'd love to have you back if you're willing, especially as you develop some of these new things and COVID starts to get resolved one way or the other. It'll be fascinating to see what you've done and how you've approached it.
Yeah, I've got the CBD project. I would really like to bring back to you and see what your team thinks about it, because it's going to be very grassroots. Once we're working on the formula stage right now, I've already got the packaging defined. I've got hitting a little bit of a hurdle with the preservative on it, but as soon as we get as soon as I'm comfortable that we've got what we need in the can, I like to bring it to you and see how your people think. What do you think about from a marketing standpoint? Is it one of those brands that you put on Instagram and you do the algorithm that it hits the right people, or that, how do we look at it from an e-commerce standpoint? I'd love to have some insight into that.
Oh, we'd love to help on that. We've learned a lot, and I've learned a lot from these guys in the class. But that's right up our alley. So love to help with that.
Well,
Good.
I mean,
All
that's
right.
just that's the natural future right there of drinks. I mean, because prohibition for alcohol didn't work, and just being able to combine the two, whether it's psychoactive or not, it's just a market that it's going to be a gold rush, and y'all are kind of positioned to take it over. And like microbreweries, it's a business based off proximity, and y'all already have the scale built into it.
Yeah.
I agree with you. Microbreweries are one of the, and it's funny thing in this COVID world, microbreweries are one of the ones that got hurt the quickest too. They were blowing up and doing great, but with the can compression and then the people not able to actually go there and drink, so they lost on premise and off premise at the same time. I've had several friends that had to collapse their microbreweries.
Yeah. Uptown Brewery just sold out.
Yeah. Okay, everybody. Well, Sterling, once again, thank you very much, and we'll look forward to the follow up, and thank you once again, everybody, for tuning in, and we'll see everybody on Friday.
Thank you,
All
Sterling.
right, take care. Thanks, everybody.
Okay. Bye-bye.
You're welcome. Have a good day.